Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Mary Berger, and welcome to episode number 7 of Waking the Spirit. We are live here from my home office in Vancouver, Washington, and I'm very pleased tonight to be doing this show, and I'm thankful for all of you who are listening live, and thankful for all of you who will be listening to the recording later on. If you can't listen live, doesn't matter to me if you listen live or listen to the recording. I just love the fact that you listen. So thank you very much and welcome. So I've got my room set for the mood for the show. I've got my candles lit. One of the candles I have going is the Blessed Mary candle from my friend Jamie Rayleigh here in Battleground, Washington. She makes these wonderful, wonderful candles. And I will have a link on my show notes later on tonight where you can go to her Etsy shop and view and purchase her candles. They're just fabulous. So anyway, with that said, this show is for those of you out there who are just starting to explore your spirituality, and that includes me. I haven't been on my road very long, a few years at best, 2 or 3 years. I'm not an expert on spirituality, but I know that many of you out there sometimes don't know where to turn to for information, and I do this show for you. I hope you find the show to be one of the resources you turn to for information on how to navigate your own spiritual path. And from a purely selfish viewpoint, preparing these shows takes a lot of research because I'm not an expert. And I want to make sure that when I'm talking to you about a subject that I'm well informed and not just talking off my cuff. So I do a lot of research. And I've always been one of those people who like to see the overall picture, but I really could care less about nitty-gritty details. If you put me in a room with a group of people and we're supposed to be having a detailed discussion about a particular document, I start to find myself fantasizing about putting a hot poker through my eye. I literally would prefer doing that to digging into details. I just am not a detail person, which is very strange for me considering the business I'm in, fixing computers. But when it comes to fixing computers, I'm very detailed. But anywhere else, I just don't like it. So doing this show forces me to dive into the details of spiritual topics, and I find that to be extremely helpful to me when I'm navigating my journeys. So this show is just as much for me as it is for anybody else out there who happens to be listening. So I'm grateful you're listening. So logistics. So let's talk some logistics. I hope that every show that I research and prepare is an interesting show for you, but I also want to chat with you sometime during the show and listen to your comments and maybe answer your questions. We have 2 ways for you to communicate with me during the show. First, you can call into the show and go on the air live with me and let me know your comments or your questions. And the number to call is 713-955-0415. And again, that number is 713-955-0415. Excuse me, I had a tickle in my throat. Sorry about that. So once you call, you'll be put in our call queue, and you'll be able to listen to the show on your phone. And it doesn't matter if you have a question or not. Feel free to call and listen. If that's the only way you have, you don't have to chat with us. We will totally ignore you until you press the 1 button on your phone, and that will tell my producer, Kelly, that you want to either make a comment or you have a question. and she will hop on the phone with you and chat with you, kind of find out what it is you want to talk about, to make you feel comfortable, and get you ready to chat. So if you're a little hesitant to go on the air, you can feel free to send me an email, and the email address is askme, A-S-K-M-E, at wakingthespirit.net, and I will check that email account a couple of times throughout the show, and I've got it sitting right over here on my iPad. So if you send me an email, I will answer your question on the air. So before we start, I'm just going to listen to my dog whine. Nope, she doesn't want to come in. Okay. Sorry about that. So anyway, let's talk about maybe a few spiritual things that might be happening right now. So maybe call it a spiritual barometer, if you will. But so last time on the show, we talked about Mercury being in retrograde and the fact that it had just gone in retrograde a day or two before the show. It is still in retrograde and will be until about the 25th or 26th of January, which I think is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Monday or Tuesday. So we're still in the middle of retrograde. And between now and then, I just want to let everybody know, just, be super, super cautious on how you communicate with others. Be patient if you encounter cranky people, and treat everyone with kindness. I've been dealing with a lot of issues with computers lately. Duh, that's my business. That's to be expected. But I've encountered monitors that have died, video cards. I encountered a video card in a computer the other day that just bit the dust. Hard drives crashing. Oh, my gosh. I've had, I think, 3 hard drives in this Mercury retrograde from various customers that have crashed. It's the nature of my business, but it seems to be a little bit more right now. So in addition to being mindful of your communications with others, also be mindful of protecting your computer equipment. Please, please, please back up your data. I had to tell a client the other day that her hard drive was dead and I couldn't get any data off of it. And I go see her tomorrow to set up her new computer, and I just feel really bad that I couldn't get anything off of it. While we're on that topic, I might as well tell you my story that kind of revolved around this. In my show on December 23rd, I told the story of recovering data off of a dead hard drive using kind of my spiritual practices as support. So just quickly, I'll run through that again. So I had brought the hard drive into my office, and I set it down on the desk. And I kind of tapped into source energy and put my intention out there on what I wanted to accomplish with the hard drive, but the fact that I wanted to get the data off of it. And then I kind of just did a few things to help the process along. So first I took 2 crystals, cleansed them. That was really important. I cleansed them and laid them on top of the hard drive. And the first crystal was a sodalite stone. So sodalite will absorb the electromagnetic frequencies of electronics. And the sodalite stone absorbs this, protecting you from the frequencies that the electronics are emitting. I also happen to believe that the sodalite stone will also protect the computer from lower vibrational frequencies that may be hanging about. So the second stone was called a mahogany obsidian. The crystal, the mahogany obsidian, basically is a good stone to use for transmuting anger, for absorbing anger from either yourself. I happen to use it for hard drives and computer equipment. Just in case the hard drive was feeling angry about not working, this particular stone will help out with that. So with the crystals in place, I flanked the hard drive on either end with candles. And one of the candles that I use sits on top of a hand-tooled copper Metatron cube. It's kind of a key component in manifestation. And that Metatron cube was actually handmade by Kelly, the producer of our show. Thank you, Kelly. So the final step that I go through on this is I pull out my Archangel Michael Oracle card deck, and I pull a card from it. And I basically put the intention out there, and I ask Archangel Michael, what can I expect from getting data off of this hard drive? So I did all of these steps for the hard drive I worked on in December and the one I did this week. The difference between the two was that in December, the cards I pulled gave me positive feedback on the possibility of extracting data from the hard drive. And so this time, it was actually last weekend when I did this, when I pulled the card, it basically had a message saying to walk away from the drive. It was a confirmation that all the work I had done to get the data off the drive was not going to be successful because I had tried every tech tip in my tech toolbox to get that data off, and I couldn't get it off. So I was really disappointed. To me, disappointed that I couldn't get the data off of this particular drive and that nothing was salvageable. So what you all need to know about this is that hard drives fail on a regular basis. It's common. I see it every week. Had one on my desk today that I actually got data off of. It was successful. But so my comment to you on this is please, please, please back up your data, especially during a Mercury retrograde period. And we'll have 3 more of them this year. So please get that backup plan in place. So the next thing I want to talk about is there is a planetary occurrence that started yesterday and will be going on for another month. And basically for the first time in 10 years, we are able to see the 5 brightest planets in the morning sky all at the same time. So like I said, it actually started yesterday, and it's going to run through, about February 20th. And like I said, they'll be visible in the morning sky, so you want to set your alarm clock for about an hour before sunrise. And if you want to get up and see the planets, that's when you have to do it. So for those of us here, though, in the Pacific Northwest, we're in a huge rainy season. So the chances of us being able to see this is kind of slim right now. But we have a whole month to do it, so we can kind of hope that maybe sometime in the next 30 days we'll have a clear morning, which is very possible, and we'll be able to see that. So I really wish that I knew more about astrology than I do. I really know jack about it. I have had my chart read, and it was fascinating. It was life-altering. It gave me information that I thought was amazing. It explained a lot of things. But I still know jack. Astrology is so detailed. And I think it's really amazing that someone can look at a chart and read it and make interpretations about a person and their personality and their life based on the positions of the planets at the time of their birth. So I know at some point in time I'll dive into astrology with both feet, and I'm going to educate myself on what it is and how it works. And when I do that, if I'm still doing this show, I'll bring you in on it, and we'll all learn together. So I know about 0.1% of what astrology is about, and I've done a lot of Googling this past week about the appearance of these 5 planets in the sky at one time. And from what I can see, it really has no major significance or meaning that will alter the trajectory of all of our lives. I think it's simply a beautiful sight that we don't get a chance to see very often. Like I said earlier, it's been 10 years since we last saw these planets in the sky at the same time. And I think I'm telling you all of this so that you can simply see our beautiful universe in action. It's a chance to get out in nature, breathe some fresh air, and kind of marvel at the wonder of how beautiful the world is. Also raise your vibrational level by being out in nature, and more about that in a few minutes. So, 5 planets, early morning sky. Check it out if you're so inclined. So, the full moon. So, remember 2 weeks ago on my last show, I talked about the new moon and the ritual of doing the new moon ceremonies. So the full moon is when you start to harvest the intentions you put out into the universe at the time of the new moon. The full moon happens this Sunday, January 24th. The moon will be located at the opposite side of the earth as the sun, so therefore the face of the moon will be fully illuminated. It will be full. So this particular moon is known in Native American tribes as the full wolf moon, as this is when the hungry wolf packs would howl outside of the camps. And we also call this the moon after Yule. So now is the time when you want to be really aware of the intentions you put out in the universe at the time of the new moon. Be observant of what is manifesting in your life. Be grateful of what is manifesting in your life. Now is the time to, just kind of be mindful of that, mindful of the intentions you put out there, and mindful of what is now coming into your life, or maybe it's not coming in. Maybe it's not manifesting, which just means that it's just not time. The universe is saying it's not time for that particular wish to be manifested. So, with all of that said, I want to talk tonight about being responsible for your energy. So, everything in existence has a vibrational level. Every cell of your body right now is vibrating at a particular frequency, and this frequency can go up, meaning the cells are vibrating faster, or the frequency can go down. In other words, the cells are vibrating slower. This is true for everything. Everything you see, everything in existence, the chair, the table, the plants, you, your dog, your candles, whatever you can lay your eyes on, it all is energy. It all has a vibrational frequency, and it all operates the same way. The lower the frequency, the denser is your energy, and your energy will be darker, and every task you take on seems to be so much of an effort to complete. The higher your frequency of the vibration, the lighter you're going to feel. The easier it is to tackle everyday tasks, life seems to just kind of flow smoothly, and you feel like a superhero. Your energy is actually full of light. It's kind of an awesome thing. So you can also think of your vibrational level in terms of how connected you are to source energy. Some people may call this universal life energy, or maybe just how open you are to allow source energy to simply flow through you. Source energy is the consciousness that connects all life. It is our connective flow to the Creator, to God. It's the universal intelligence that guides us all through our lives. Everything in existence benefits from the nourishment of source energy if you tap into it. So we all have the power to change our vibrational frequencies by consciously making good and healthy choices in our lives. And so many factors can influence those frequencies. Our thoughts all have a level of vibration to them. Negative thoughts are correlated to a low vibrational frequency. And on the flip side, positive thoughts are associated with a high vibrational frequency. Along with our thoughts, our emotions, how we feel, play a huge role in our frequency, our vibrational frequency. So emotions like shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, anger, all can be associated in varying degrees of lower vibrations. On the other hand, enlightenment, peace, joy, love, acceptance, gratitude, willingness, and courage are all associated with higher vibrational frequencies. Other things that will have an effect on that is who we choose to hang out with. Maybe negative or positive people. But, there's all extremes, and so I'm going to tell you a story about that. So years ago, when I had my day job and before I opened my business, I worked for a man who, on one hand, he put out a lot of positive energy. He had a smile that would light up the room, and he oftentimes was a lot of fun. He was really, really, a happy guy. However, he also had the ability to turn that light that he shone out there, he turned it into darkness at the drop of a hat. And it happened often. And when his mood turned, watch out. Everyone ran for cover. At that time in my life, my vibrational frequency was on the low side. So I therefore attracted people and situations into my life that matched my low vibrational frequency. I was not necessarily a spiritual person at that time. I really had no idea of the concept of a vibrational frequency or even what energy meant. It really wasn't until I left that day job and started my own business that I gained the self-confidence to even begin thinking that there is a different way to approach life. Once I was out of the energy field of this man that I used to work for, I was able to breathe, actually able to breathe. I was able to not only breathe, I was able to sleep. And it took a couple of years, but I was actually able to kind of alter my energy and my vibrational frequency and elevate it to the point where I could actually sleep at night. So I was basically opening myself up to kind of see life in a whole new light. I had stayed in that miserable job out of fear. It was fear that I didn't have what it took to land another job, fear that I didn't have what it took to start my own business and actually make a living doing it. I never thought, I didn't have the confidence that I can actually make enough money every month to pay all my bills. And I didn't at first. It took a couple of years, but I finally got to that point, and now I do. So fear is equated to a very low vibrational level. And the longer I was out on my own and away from that day job and running my own business, the more confidence I got, and the more the fear started to dissipate. At the same time, I started realizing that the yearning I always had to understand religion and actually embrace it wasn't necessary. In other words, how do I put this? I realized that I no longer had the need to really understand organized religion because I was coming to understand that spirituality and religion were two separate concepts. I've always wanted a close relationship with God, but I never got it through religion. I didn't understand organized religion, and I realized finally that I could have that close relationship with God that I wanted and leave the organized religion out of the mix. I've come to believe that organized religion is all about how others in seats of power tell the rest of us what our relationship with God is supposed to look like. And the moment I really embraced spirituality is the moment my vibrational level just skyrocketed. My spiritual faith brought me joy. Other factors on your vibrational frequency, the foods we choose to eat will definitely affect our vibrational level. Our food supply here in the United States, it's really kind of sad. It's dismal. It's awful. Fast foods, genetically modified foods, sodas, sugar, they're all going to bring your vibrational level down. Vegetables that you grow yourself will raise those vibrational frequencies. They're fresh, healthy, organic vegetables. So with all of that said, being aware of what will trigger either high or low vibrations is going to be super, super important for you. Knowing the triggers that will either raise or lower your vibrational frequency are going to help you manage your energy levels and be responsible for them. So what do I mean by being responsible for your energy? You first have to know that your energy is not self-contained. You are not a person existing in a bubble with your emotions being contained inside that bubble, not affecting anyone else around you. When you walk into a room, you don't want to be that person who walks in with that negative attitude, who has the potential to affect everyone else in the room. If your energy levels are at a low level, being responsible for your energy means, first of all, recognizing the fact that your energy levels are low. And second, not allowing the negative, low energy to seep out to others. If you're feeling angry, count to 10 before you instantly respond to what others are doing around you, or responding with anger or sarcasm. So to kind of illustrate this point, I'm going to tell you, I think, a couple of stories, and I'm going to try and make them short and brief, but they'll kind of help you understand what it means to be responsible for your energy. And these were things that happened to me yesterday. And so the first one is actually kind of funny. I was at the car wash yesterday. I actually, for a reason which I won't explain now, I haven't driven my car in a couple of months. I was driving someone else's car, but it was time to give that car back today. So yesterday, I had taken that car to the car wash, got it washed, filled it with gas, delivered the car back, picked up my car. And since my car had been sitting in someone's driveway for 2 months, I decided, okay, I'd better put some fresh gas in it, and I'd better take it to the car wash and get it cleaned. So I'm at the car wash, and you know how you pull into these car washes, and you have to drive onto the track. And I put my car in park, and I'm chatting with the attendant, telling him what kind of wash I wanted, and he gives me the dash wipe, and then he says, okay, put it in neutral, no brakes, read the sign on the right, and roll up all your windows, and, we're good to go. So I guess I forgot to put my car in neutral, so I kind of had a little bit of a hiccup getting into the actual car wash, so he set me straight on that, and I don't know why I couldn't figure that out. It was the second car wash I had been to that day, but so I put it in neutral. I'm going through the car wash. I've got, these brushes all around me, soap suds all over the car, water spraying at me, and all of a sudden, the car just stopped. It stopped moving. It wouldn't go forward. And I sat there thinking, I don't think I'm moving. What's going on? And after about 30 seconds of wondering what was going on, the entire car wash shut down. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. Now the attendant is going to have to come and, rescue me from the car wash. And it's going to be embarrassing, especially since we had a hiccup getting into the car wash. And so I sat there thinking, there's a lot of different ways I could play this situation. And I thought, I could get angry and upset that this actually happened. And, when the attendant came over, he motioned for me to roll down my window, and I easily could have snapped at him. I could have given him some negative energy, but I decided, this is actually kind of funny, and I just kind of have to laugh at this. And the attendant doesn't deserve my negative attitude. He doesn't deserve any kind of attitude from me except one of happiness and light. So that's how I played it, and that's kind of what I mean about being responsible for your energy. Be aware of the people around you and treat them with kindness. And I must have had experiences yesterday that kind of made me think about stuff like this, because there were actually 3 experiences yesterday, but I'm only going to talk about 2. And the third experience, I'm leaving it to my Facebook page. I posted it last night, and I have nothing more to say on the subject, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But it happened last night. Once I got home, I had a box that had been delivered from Comcast. I had gone on to the Comcast website, I think it was Friday of last week, and I knew it had been several years since I checked my contract, and so I thought, well, I'm going to see what kind of deal I can get, because I have Comcast Internet, but that's it. So I realized that for the same thing that I'm paying now every month, I could about double my Internet speeds, and I can get some TV service for my office, which the TV service I'm not really interested in all that much. There's a couple of things I like to tape and watch. I don't watch TV all that much. So I just wanted the freedom to be able to do that and not have to worry about my other TV service taping it, because for those of you who don't know, my mom and I share a house, and she manages the DVR downstairs. I could care less what happens to it, but a lot of times things I specifically want to tape or watch, she will delete. So I thought, well, this way I could be in charge of my own destiny as far as those very few shows that I watch. So anyway, to make a long story short, the box arrived. I unpacked the new modem for the Internet service. I connected it up. I had a couple of hiccups in getting the service activated. I had to call Comcast and get them to activate it. And it was a very long process. It should not take this long. And so while I was on the phone with Comcast, I did a speed test on my line, and I realized I'm getting slower speeds than what I was getting before I actually did the upgrade. So I mentioned that to the attendant, and, apparently there was a big snafu in my order. I mean, it was placed on the Internet. It should have been apparent what my order was, but they ordered something completely different for me. They downgraded my service. And so I sat there thinking, and this was about 9:30 last night. And I sat there thinking, Mary, you can, again, here's another situation where you could play this a couple of different ways. And, I could easily get testy and throw attitude out at that Comcast rep on the phone, because I was really getting tired of being put on hold and being told that, oh, this is the package that you ordered. And I kept telling them, no, I ordered blah, blah, blah package, and they couldn't find that anywhere on their site. But I thought, you have to be mindful of your energy, and you can't let this upset you, because it doesn't matter. In the long scheme of things, it just doesn't matter. So you have to be responsible for that energy. And when you find yourself in situations like this where you're frustrated, just remember that whatever the situation is, it just doesn't matter. And it's not worth it to get upset at anybody else. You have to not allow that negative energy to kind of spew out at the other person, because that has a ripple effect. It has a ripple effect on that person, and that person will kind of, get that backlash and say, wow, that was kind of a nasty encounter. And it could put them in a sour mood, and they'll turn around and they'll kick their cat. Who knows? But it has that ripple effect, and you have to be responsible, because you were the person that started that. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with being responsible for your energies. So I had mentioned before about triggers that can either elevate or lower your vibrational frequency. One of those triggers, I'm going to go through a list here, the media sensationalism. So here's what you all need to know about the media. I used to be a huge media hound. If I were sitting in my office, I had the news on. I was a news hound. I loved listening to the news while I worked. I can't remember the last time I did that. It's been years. But what you need to know about the media is there are 6 media giants that control 90% of what we all read, watch, or listen to. So those media corporations, number 1, General Electric, which owns Comcast, NBC, Universal Pictures, and Focus Features. The second one is News Corp. It owns Fox, the Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post. Disney number 3, owns ABC, ESPN, Miramax, Marvel Studios, now Star Wars, which is a good thing. Viacom owns MTV, Nick Jr., Black Entertainment TV, BMT Channel, and Paramount Pictures. The last 2, Time Warner. Time Warner owns CNN, HBO, and of course Time and Warner Brothers. And then we get to the last one, CBS. CBS owns Showtime, the Smithsonian Channel, the NFL.com, Jeopardy, which is huge, and 60 Minutes. So these media outlets, these 6 that I just told you about, they are not the least bit concerned about telling the truth about what's going on in the world. They are concerned about ratings, which turn into profits. The more they can sensationalize the news, the more low vibrational people watch that news, and the more profits these corporations get. They are out there to sensationalize everything, to increase their ratings, and increase their profits. And what they do to you in the meantime, they really could give a rip about. So I would suggest we all quit watching the news. Violent movies, books, other forms of violent entertainment, they will lower your vibrational frequency. Sharing space with people who gossip or people who are overly materialistic, that'll tend to drag you down. And I'll say again, foods they're bad for you. Greasy foods that are high in calories, artificially colored foods, beverages, colas, refined sugar, coffee in high quantities, even eating food prepared by people who are in stress or have had a bad day, that can get absorbed by the food. It kind of makes you want to kind of visit the kitchens of the restaurants that you eat at to make sure everybody in there is in a good mood. Kind of funny. So again, hanging out with people who have negative attitudes, people who don't practice self-love, people who have anger or jealousy issues, or people with high levels of anxiety or worry, that will all contribute to lowering your vibrational frequency. A lack of exposure to nature. You need to get out there in nature every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Nature is going to increase your vibrational frequency, and if you don't do those few minutes every day in nature, your vibrational frequency is going to go down. And addictions, whatever the addictions are, the addictions will lower your frequency. I don't care if it's food, alcohol, drugs, whatever. It's going to lower your frequencies. So all of those things that I just talked about will lower your vibrational frequency. But what about those things that will raise your high vibrational frequencies, things that you actually want to be doing to raise your frequency? Like I said, regular walks or just, outings in nature. Be in nature every day. Like I said, even if it's just for a few minutes. Eating fresh fruits and vegetables, one of the best things you can do. Those green leafy vegetables, fruits, limit your fruits because they do have a certain amount of sugars in them, but they are important to eat. Exercise. Exercise is so key, but you don't want to be a fanatic about it. You don't want to exercise so much that it depletes your energy. Don't be working out 5 or 6 hours a day because that will definitely deplete your energy and lower your frequencies. Moderation. Do it in moderation. And do what you feel is healthy for you and, do what you feel that you can tackle. Fresh flowers. I love fresh flowers. Scatter those flowers all over your home, and they will raise your vibrational frequency. Burning incense will do the same thing. Music, whatever music you like to listen to, whatever brings you happiness, whatever brings you joy, listen to the music because that's important. Meditation. Meditation is really one of those things that allows you to clear your mind and take you out of yourself and your your mind chatter. So the whole purpose of meditation is to quiet your mind. And as a consequence, as a result of the meditation and quieting your mind, you are making a conscious connection with God. And that will definitely raise your frequencies. Hang out with babies and pets. Nothing puts a smile on your face more than babies and pets. I saw a new client today for the first time who had a 12-week-old puppy. And this puppy was just adorable. And this puppy, kept me company while I was fixing the computer. So it was a good thing. Practice self-love, so very important. Get plenty of sleep. Everybody has different sleep levels that they need, but make sure that you get the sleep that you need to get you through your day. Don't skimp on your sleep. Laughter will raise your frequencies sky high. Along with having that positive outlook on life, you want to make sure that you're thinking positive thoughts, that you get rid of the negative thoughts and just fill them with positive thoughts, because we as human beings, our minds are always going. They are always going, and it's very hard to stop that mind chatter. So if you have a hard time stopping that mind chatter, which is difficult for most of us to do, make sure that you fill that chatter with positive thoughts instead of negative. And hang out with other people who are vibrating at a high rate. Man, that does wonders. Let's see, what else? Thinking off the top of my head. Regular massages. There is nothing better than a massage to relax you and clear your mind and get those frequencies ratcheting up on the higher level. And also connecting with God, connecting with your guides, and connecting with your angels. That does wonders, and that usually takes place when you're in meditation. Not exclusively, but you have a really good chance of connecting with them when you're in a really good meditation zone, which I know is really hard to do. I know a lot of people are out there and saying, man, it's hard to meditate, and it really is. It's difficult. But even if you do it for, 2 or 3 minutes and, you'll have a sense of accomplishment, and maybe the next day you can do it for 5 minutes. It's hard, and a lot of people I talk to say it's hard, but the benefits are so positive. So with all of that said, I want to read you an article, and this article was written by Dr. Wayne Dyer back in December of 2012. And the article does a great job of explaining exactly why we want to keep our vibrational levels as high as possible. So in this article, which is titled, "Do You Make a Difference?" he says, I'm quoting from the article. I'm going to read you the entire article, but I'm going to take a moment here just to take a breath and to grab some water. And maybe you all want to take a breath too. So the article starts out, many years ago, I was with one of my daughters as she completed a lengthy program in the wilderness to help her deal more effectively with some of her teenage dilemmas. The last thing the counselor at the wilderness camp said to her was, remember at all times that when you think, remember at all times that what you think and what you do affects other people. This is true even beyond the impact we have on our friends, family, neighbors, and coworkers. Dr. Dyer says, I believe that we impact all of humanity. In Power versus Force, Dr. David Hawkins writes, in this interconnected universe, every improvement we make in our private world improves the world at large for everyone. We all float on the collective level of consciousness of mankind, so that any increment we add comes back to us. So let me read that again. We all float on the collective level of consciousness of mankind, so that any increment we add comes back to us. We all add to our common buoyancy by our efforts to benefit life. It is a scientific fact that what is good for you is good for me. Dr. Hawkins has backed up his remarks and conclusions with 29 years of hard research. I'll briefly summarize some of these conclusions and how they relate to the impact you have on others when you're connected to Source. The article goes on to read, in essence, every single person, as well as large groups of people, can be calibrated for their energy levels. Generally speaking, low energy people cannot distinguish truth from falsehood. They can be told how to think, whom to hate, whom to kill, and they can be herded into a groupthink mentality based on such trivial details as what side of the river they were born on, what their parents and their grandparents believed, the shape of their eyes, and hundreds of other factors having to do with appearance and total identification with their material world. Hawkins tells us that approximately 87% of humanity calibrates at a collective energy level that weakens them. 87%. Wow. The higher up the ladder of frequency vibration, the fewer people there are in those high levels. The highest levels are represented by the truly great persons who originated spiritual patterns that multitudes have followed throughout the ages. They're associated with divinity, and they set in motion attractor energy fields that influence all of humankind. And the article goes on. Just below the energy level of pure enlightenment are the energy levels associated with the experience designated as transcendence, self-realization, or God consciousness. Here's where those who are called saintly reside. Just below this level is the place of pure joy, and the hallmark of this state is compassion. Those who obtain this level have more of a desire to use their consciousness for the benefit of life itself rather than for particular individuals. Below these supremely high levels, which few ever attain in a permanent way, are the levels of unconditional love, kindness, and acceptance of everyone. Below the levels of energy that strengthen us are the low energy levels of anger, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, hatred, judgment, and shame, all of which weaken and impact us in such a way as to inhibit our connection to the universal energy level of Source. So those low energy levels are cutting us off from Source energy. So the article goes on. He says, Dr. Wayne Dyer says, what I'd like you to do here is take a leap of faith with me while I present a few of the conclusions that Dr. Hawkins came to in his second book called The Eye of the I, the EYE-I of the I. Through his precise kinesiological, I hope I pronounced that right, kinesiological testing for truth versus falsehood, he's calibrated the approximate number of people whose energy is at or below the level that weakens. Dr. Dyer says, I'd like you to consider his findings and conclusions relative to your impact on civilization. Dr. Hawkins suggests that it's crucial for each of us to be aware of the significance of raising our frequency of vibration to the level where we begin to match up with the energy of the universal source. Meaning we all need to be conscious and aware of our vibrational frequencies, and we need to make sure that they're elevated to the level where we're connected to source and that we're putting positive out into the universe and positive out into the world instead of that 87% who are vibrating at the lower level frequencies and putting negative out there. So that's really interesting. 13% are at the high levels or the positive frequency levels, and 87% are at the low. So keep those two figures in mind as I go through the rest of this article. So the article goes on. One of the most fascinating aspects of this line of research is the idea of counterbalancing. High energy people counterbalance the negative effect of low energy people. But it doesn't happen on a one-to-one basis because of that 87% of humanity that's in the lower weakening frequencies. It can't happen on a one-to-one. We've got 13 versus 87. If it was a one-to-one, we'd never get anywhere. So one person connected to source can have an enormous impact on many people in the lower energy patterns. The higher up the scale you move towards actually being the light, the light of enlightenment, being the light of enlightenment and knowing God consciousness. So the higher up the scale you move towards actually being the light of enlightenment and knowing God consciousness, the more negatively vibrating energies you can counterbalance. So the higher your frequency, the more you're able to counterbalance those people in the lower frequencies. So here are some fascinating figures from Dr. Hawkins' research for you to contemplate as you review the impact you can have on humanity simply by being on the higher rungs of the ladder. All right. So these are really interesting. I'll read these to you, and you're going to be kind of stunned at these figures. So, in the article, the list starts with one individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of optimism and a willingness to be non-judgmental of others will counterbalance the negativity of 90,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. One person who is just willing to be optimistic and non-judgmental, that should be easy for those of us on our spiritual path. We should be there. And I know a lot of us struggle with this, and it's part of our work. It's part of our work to drop judgment. I talked about that last time in my radio show. Drop the judgment. And just be optimistic. If myself, I can be optimistic and non-judgmental of others, I'm going to counterbalance the negativity of 90,000 others who vibrate at lower frequencies. That's pretty amazing. So the next statistic, one individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of pure love and reverence for all life will counterbalance the negativity of 750,000 individuals who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. 750,000. Pure love and reverence for all life. Something to aspire to. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of illumination, bliss, and infinite peace will counterbalance the negativity of 10 million people who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. And the last one here. One individual who lives and vibrates to the energy of grace, pure spirit beyond the body, in a world of complete oneness, will counterbalance the negativity of 70 million people who calibrate at the lower weakening levels. Imagine what the Dalai Lama is doing for all of us. So when you go to bed tonight, say a big thank you to the Dalai Lama, because he's helping out a whole lot of people. So the article goes on to say, the implications of these figures are immense for discovering ways of improving human consciousness. By raising your own frequency of vibration only slightly, just slightly, to a place where you regularly practice kindness, love, and receptivity, and where you see beauty and the endless potential of good in others, as well as yourself, you counterbalance 90,000 people somewhere on this planet who are living in the low energy levels of shame, anger, hatred, guilt, despair, and depression. That's pretty fucking amazing. That was my comment, not Dr. Dyer's. Sorry, Dr. Dyer. So consider the importance of becoming aware of the impact you have on others. This is Dr. Dyer speaking. Consider the importance of becoming aware of the impact you have on others, and remind yourself that by raising your own energy level to a place where you're in harmony with Source, you become an instrument or a channel of peace. This works everywhere. So be a part of the counterbalance to the human negativity you encounter in your life. As Mahatma Gandhi said, we must be the change we wish to see in the world. End of article. I thought that was fascinating. I mean, I have read this article several times, but when I was putting this show together, I thought, wow, this is a powerful message. And when you think about making a difference and you wonder what kind of a difference one person can make, refer back to this article. You, everyone who is listening, everyone who's listening to this show is on some sort of spiritual path, and you're striving to be a better person, and you're striving to raise your vibrational frequencies. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on this path and you wouldn't be listening to this show. So you can literally change 90,000 people by living in a state of optimism and being non-judgmental. It's a no-brainer. That is incentive enough to wake up every morning and put a smile on your face, feel gratitude for having this day unfold in front of you, feeling gratitude for the path that you're on, smiling at everybody that you encounter. It's incentive enough. Know that when you conduct your life in such a way, you could be counterbalancing 90,000 people out there who are vibrating at a low level. That also, my friends, is being responsible for your energy. Being responsible means not only to keep the negativity out of your energy field, but it also means to spread your positive energy around to as many people as you possibly can. And if you spend your life doing that, think of the number of people that you're going to counterbalance. It's amazing. It's incredible. So with all of that we just read in that article, what you're probably sitting there thinking, what can you do to raise your vibrational level? I kind of gave you the triggers, the low vibrational triggers, the high vibrational triggers. So what can you do to raise your personal vibrational level? And I'm going to go through several examples for you. And how are we doing on time here? I have not paid the slightest attention to time. It's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock, okay. All right. So first keep in mind that like attracts like. It's the same with vibrations. The level at which you vibrate is what you will attract into your life. It's basically called the law of attraction. Thank you, Kelly. She just let me know I have 30 minutes. No problem. Like attracts like, so the level at which you vibrate is what you will attract into your life. So I have a theory that I'm going to tell you about. You all know, or maybe you don't know, I own a computer repair business called Computer Diva, and I've owned this business for 8 years now. And apparently, it is my 8-year anniversary because people on LinkedIn are posting congratulatory messages to me on LinkedIn about my work anniversary. So if you're listening and you've done that, thank you, thank you, thank you. 8 years ago in January, I started my business. So anyway, so after years of working with computers filled with viruses, I kind of developed a theory about how a virus will get onto your computer. So to make a long story short, most computer viruses are written and distributed by organized crime in Eastern Europe. The people who write these viruses do this to make money. No other reason exists for this. And believe me, they are making big money doing this. These virus architects, I guess I would call them, these virus architects are criminals, and they're stealing your money. They write the virus and put it out into the internet. And these virus architects, these people who create the viruses, are vibrating at very low frequencies. Therefore, their work product also vibrates at a very low frequency. So here's my theory. In my work over the years, healing computers with viruses, I've noticed a pattern. Most people who have an infected computer have no idea where the virus comes from. The hows and whys of the infection are a mystery to them. They swear they did nothing to attract the virus onto their computers, but in fact, that's exactly what they did. They attracted the virus onto their computer through their vibrational level. I see it happen over and over. I see it happen every single day. So one of the things I do when I visit a client is I walk into their house and I read the energy of the house. And I read the energy of the client. And I've come to learn that those who have a lot of computer issues and viruses are usually vibrating at a lower frequency. The client's vibrational frequency has attracted the virus into their computer. There are also those people out there who vibrate at such a high frequency that they cause electronics to go haywire. My grandmother was one of them. She looked at something electronic and it rolled over and played dead. I kid you not. I don't know how many VCRs she went through, and how many remote controls she killed. And my grandmother, I truly believe, vibrated at a very high frequency. The priest at her funeral called her a saint. Enough said on that. So my job is to level out the energy of the computer and clean the virus. It's a lot like getting an adjustment from a chiropractor. So anyway, back to my intention of giving you some ways to raise your vibrational frequency. To begin with, you need to become very conscious of your thoughts. Our minds are constantly on overdrive all the time. Thoughts enter and exit our mind at an astonishing rate. You need to slow your mind down and become very aware of everything that you are thinking, and you need to keep it positive. Second, and this one is so super easy, drink lots of water. Comes out of your body and raise your energy levels as well as your vibration. Number 3, eat foods that also vibrate at a high level. Fresh fruits and vegetables, organic foods. Stay away from those fast foods. Stay away from chemical foods and frozen foods. They kind of say when you visit the grocery store, do your shopping in the shop for items that are kind of around the perimeter of the store, the outside of the store, as that's where kind of all the fresh foods and healthy foods are displayed. And avoid the aisles. Don't even walk up and down the aisles because that's where all the packaged food is. That's where all the food is that you don't want to ingest. You just don't want it. I know it's really easy to say, and it's really, really hard to do because of how, as a society, a lot of us were raised, and it becomes a very conscious decision for us to move out of how we were raised and our eating habits and move into more healthy. But it can be done. And it doesn't mean you have to, grow your own chickens and your own eggs, and you can get organic foods just about anywhere these days. It's becoming more and more prevalent. But even if you substitute one packaged meal for a fresh meal, you've done good. So just kind of, gradually ease into it. You can do it. Fourth, appreciate the beauty, especially the beauty in nature. Make sure you get out in nature every day. Take those walks outside. Get some sunshine. I know here in the Pacific Northwest, we're in our rainy season and sunshine is not that frequent, but get outside anyway. Even if it's raining outside, just get outside and enjoy it. And while you're outside, get some exercise in. Exercise and, get your body moving. And, like I said earlier, you don't have to pump iron at the gym 5 hours a day. Just get out there and move. Number 6, meditation. Meditation is going to calm your mind, it's going to calm your spirit, and it's going to lead to a stronger connection with your guides, angels, and source energy. And so next, practice gratitude. Be grateful for everything in your life. Gratitude will change everything. Every thought you think, everything you do has to be done in gratitude. It's a game changer. You should try one day, just, everything you encounter, just realize how wonderful those things are and just be grateful for everything you encounter. And it's like I said, it's game changing. And be kind to everybody. Just be kind to everybody. Just be kind. There's no reason to be anything but kind to people. We're all connected. We're all in this together. Just be kind. And that is how you become responsible for your energy. Those ways, changing your mind, your exercise, your food, it's a conscious thing, but you can do it. And the benefits are so worth it. So that kind of concludes my little informational talk here on being responsible for your energy. So since we're talking about energy, and since my show 2 shows ago was all about oracle cards, I thought it would be fun in this show to draw a card. And the deck I've chosen is called the Energy Oracle Cards. So I'm going to open up the deck, take out the book, set that aside. And in this deck, let's see, this deck, like I said, it's called the Energy Oracle Cards, a 53-card deck and guidebook by Sandra Ann Taylor. And I bought this deck probably, it's been a little over a year ago, when I was going through some revelations about doing some energy work. And I thought, oh, what a cool deck. This might be fun to kind of play with. So with this deck, I actually prepared this deck in advance. I smudged the cards, which kind of clears out the energy from the cards. And these particular set of cards, they are designed to reveal kind of both the present energy of any projects you're working on and possibly the results you're looking to attract or likely to attract. The cards that are drawn kind of show the energetic potential of situations. So, like I said, I prepared the deck by smudging it. I cleared out all the energies from the deck, and I've asked my angels and guides to direct me to pull a card that will assist all of you who are listening now or listening to this recording sometime in the future. So as I just kind of lightly shuffle the deck, I'm just kind of looking for a card that kind of pops out, and here's one that's kind of popping out from the deck. So I'm going to pull it, put the rest of the cards back in the box, and the card is, oh, this is interesting, Adjacent Possibilities. I'm not even sure what that means, but the picture on the card is kind of a hallway with lots of open doors and open windows. And I have a feeling, I'm just going to kind of, do a little intuition here before I open up the book and read the description. I have a feeling this card is telling you to pay attention when you're on your path right now, that there are possibilities opening for you that you may not be aware of. Possibilities that may be kind of a side effect of something you're currently working on, but adjacent possibilities. So let's take a look at the book. I'm going to put my reading glasses on. Let's see. Adjacent possibilities, many unconsidered options. Sometimes, and I'm going to read from the book here, sometimes the force of habit keeps you stuck and unaware of potentially healthier and happier choices at hand. Yet every moment gives you the option to open a different door and take a different course, whether it's in your thoughts, behaviors, or major life decisions. Unlike the indecision card, which indicates confusion and vacillation about which course to take, the adjacent possibilities card is here to tell you that you have many options, and it's time to take a wider look at things. As you consider the many life choices available, you'll feel more and more empowered and motivated to make the decisions that bring happiness, strength, and forward motion. In terms of your goals, this card could indicate unknown and previously unconsidered ideas. Perhaps there's a marketing tool you haven't thought of, a connection you haven't tapped, or even an entirely different direction that would be more suited to you. Be conscious, be aware, and be flexible and willing to take new and different actions now. That's a pretty profound card. Really, really interesting, because I know a lot of us get kind of, set on our path, and we have set in our mind of the direction we want to take. Maybe we're talking about our careers, and we know that we're going to take a particular direction, and we kind of have blinders on both sides of our eyes, kind of like horses have blinders on, where we're kind of walking down the hall, and because we have those blinders on, we're not seeing all these doors and windows next to us as we're walking down this hall that are opening up for us. We're not even looking at them. We're not even realizing that there's a possibility that there's another door we can take. There's another path we can take. So I guess my take on this is that you need to just be really aware of everything that's going on around you. And if you sense that maybe there's a door opening for you, and you're kind of off to the side, and you think, oh, but I don't want to go in that direction. I'm supposed to be going straight down this path here. Kind of, take a moment and think about it and think, well, what would happen if I went off on this adjacent direction? What would happen if I actually walked through that doorway? It could be surprising. So, keep your mind open, keep the possibilities open. I think that's what this card is telling us. And, since we're in January of a new year, and this is the year of 9, it's a completion year. I talked about that in my last show 2 weeks ago. Maybe these doors and windows that are opening are saying, okay, you're in your completion year, and you're wrapping things up, and there's all these other possibilities opening up for you, because next year is a 1 year. It's a year of beginnings. So pay attention to those doors and windows that you're seeing opening up that otherwise you just might ignore or not be aware of. So just keep your eyes open this year and look for possibilities, because next year you're going to start something new. You're going to wrap something up this year, and next year you're going to start something new. And that something new may be behind one of these doors or windows that are opening that you may or may not see. So just keep your eyes open. So that's my card reading. That was fun. With all of that said, we're at the end of our show. And I have really, really enjoyed this show, even though nobody's called in to talk to me. I don't care. That's fine with me. Let me hop over to my email, though, real quick, because maybe somebody sent me an email. I haven't even paid attention. Give me a minute here. Nope, nobody emailed me either. So I guess you guys just wanted to hear me speak, which I'm okay with. So anyway, with all of that said, wow, it's 8:15. So I just want to say thank you to all of you who listened live to today's show, and I want to say thank you to all of you who couldn't listen live and are listening to this as a recording, because either way, if you listen to it live or you listen to the recording, you took the time and you spent an hour and 15 or 20 minutes listening to me ramble on about subjects that I find important, and hopefully you will learn something from. So I'm really grateful that you spent that time listening to me. I also want to thank my producer, Kelly Lair from New 72 Media. Kelly, your expertise, your guidance, and your knowledge all makes this just so easy to do, and I thank you tremendously for this. Love you. I don't have any show notes on my website tonight. There wasn't much to post, but there are a couple of links that I'll be posting later. The links for Jamie's Candles will be one. And so anyway, sometime tonight or tomorrow I'll be posting those show notes. And it will be in the blog with the date of 1/21 or 22/2015. But it'll be titled show notes. So anyway, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Blessings to you all. Bye for now.